So in this video, we're going to explain how to do a deep dermal suture. You're most likely going to be doing this suture when you're doing laparoscopic procedures and closing the laparoscopic port sites. So before we talk about how to do this technique, we're going to talk about some of the most common instruments that you're going to be using and the proper way to hold them. So starting here from the right, you're going to all have one of these in front of you, and this is going to be the suture that you're going to use during this class. Over here, we have something called the needle driver, and I'm going to show you how you typically hold this needle driver. So usually you put your thumb in one pocket, and then you put your ring finger in the other, and then you put your pointer finger and middle finger on it like this. That's the typical way that you're supposed to hold these. And then if you press down with your thumb in this pocket, you'll be able to unlock it. And you don't want to put your fingers all the way through. Usually you're going to keep it like this. And there's a few other ways you can hold it, but this is going to be the way that you're going to want to learn how to hold it for the actual suturing. Over here, we have our forceps. This is also going to be really important for deep dermal sutures. And for the forceps, you kind of want to hold it like a pencil like that. And then finally, we have your scissors over here. For the scissors, you're going to hold them the same way as you did the needle driver, like that. And just remember, when you're using the scissors, you always want to have the screw up. So those are going to be all the instruments that we'll be using in this lesson. All right, so now we're going to go into the process of actually doing the deep dermal suture. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to grab your needle driver and you want to open it up. And then all of you are going to have your suture in front of you with this needle in it. And usually you want to use this to grab the needle around like maybe a centimeter away from the edge of the needle to get the best location. And you want to grab it with the tip of the needle driver. If you end up putting it, I'm just going to show you what some people do. If you end up putting it like that, you're not going to get the best angle for the needle driver. So make sure you're grabbing the needle with the tip of the needle driver. So once you have this, then you want to grab the forceps in front of you, and this is going to be how you're going to start your actual suturing. So with the forceps, what you want to do is you want to work with the skin to help give yourself a view. And in this case, this slit is going to be a little bit bigger than what you're actually going to be using in the clinical setting, but this is just a good example to look at to start. And so the way that you want to start is deep dermals are deep to superficial. So what you're going to do with your needle is you're going to go in deep into the dermis, and you're just going to follow the angle of the needle, and it's all in the wrist motion. So you're going to be moving your hand like this and taking your wrist to go through the skin. Don't try to force the needle through or push it through. It's all about being clockwise. And when you're putting the needle through the skin, your goal is to curve it so that it comes up right before this skin. You don't want to go through the skin. You want to come right at the edge of the skin. And it's hard to see the layers on these models, but that's generally what you want to do. So, all right, so now we're going to zoom in the camera so you can see it a little bit better. But as you can see with my forceps, I'm creating a good view for myself so that I can see where I'm going. And you want to start deep. And then you're just following the angle of your suture, and you're going to come up just right at the surface of the skin. You don't want to go through the skin, but you want to come right up at the surface for the initial part. And what you're going to do is you're going to pull the string all the way through so there's just a little bit left over here. And the next thing you want to do is you want to re-grab your needle again, like that on the edge. All right? So that was the first part, was going deep to superficial, and the next part is actually going to be doing superficial to deep. All right? So now this time, we're going to make sure we have this a little bit of string left here. We're going to move it out of the way, and then we're going to pull up the other side of the skin, and we're going to put the suture in that way. And to find out exactly where you want to go, you can use this technique of you laying the string directly across from you to see approximately where you want to go. If you go too far up or too far down, it's not going to be straight. And so this can help you get an idea of where to go. So as you can see, we're going around right here. And so now with the same way, we're going to be grabbing this to get a little bit of a good view. And then this time with the needle, we're going to be going this way. So it's a little bit of a different curve, but again, we're going to follow the same angle, and we're going to start superficial this time, and then we're just going to turn it and go deep. All right, and then we're just going to drive the needle through like so. And you can sometimes release the needle and then just grab it on the end and push it through like this. And you want to make sure to grab it with your forceps and pull it out the other way. So now when we do that, we should have pulled this string together. Now, before we do the next step, the one thing I really want to point out to all of you is if you see here, see that first string that we had is on one side, and then this new string is also on the other side of this stitch that we just made. That's really important. If these strings are on opposite sides, you're not going to be able to do the stitch the way that you want to. Okay, so now we're going to talk about how to do the tying portion of the deep dermal. So you could do the two-handed tie that we learned last week, but we're going to do a new knot tying technique called the instrument tie that can also be used for the deep dermals. What you're going to do is you're going to start with the needle driver and keep it in the closed position, and then you're going to start with the suture and take the suture and you're going to take the string and wrap it around this needle driver twice. And once you've done that, you're going to open the needle driver and you're going to grab this string over here. Make sure you grab the string at the top. Don't try to grab it at the bottom. It's a bad habit to build, and you may not be able to pull the string all the way through. So you start at the top. You're going to pull it through this knot that you just created, and you're just going to pull down and make sure you're pulling in the same direction as the hole that you have, or that in this case, we're going parallel to the line. So then what you're going to do is now you're going to do the same thing. You're going to wrap it once around, but this time you're going to grab it this way and you're going to pull the opposite way. So the first time you wrapped it around twice, the second time you only wrapped it around once. And you're going to repeat this method 2 more times at least. So you're going to wrap it around once. Make sure to grab this top part right there and pull it all the way through. And then we're going to do it 1 more time. Usually 3 to 5 times is pretty good. And you're going to grab this at the top and you're going to pull it all the way through. So then you've created your tie and your knot. And then the last step that you're going to do is, then this is usually where you can help out in the clinical setting, is when you notice they're done tying, you grab your scissors, you have them ready, make sure you have the screw up on the scissors, and you're just going to cut so that they can't see that much of the line. And then there you have it. That's your deep dermal suture.